Okay, we're recording. So I'm going to go back to share screen.
Okay.
Can you see this? The KW agent orientation book? Okay, great.
Yeah. Perfect.
So I don't want you to repeat yourself, and I'm going to ask you guys to all introduce yourselves. So in the meantime, before I do that,
Yes.
how are you feeling about things?
I feel fine, but I feel like it's honestly because I haven't done anything yet. Life, since I completed my onboarding paperwork and everything, I feel like my full-time job has just been crazy. So I
What is
haven't
your
really had a chance.
what's your full-time job?
I'm a community manager of a large multifamily development in Needham.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Emily.
Hey Judy, how are you?
Good. And how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good. Hi
So what-
Caitlin.
Hi,
Emily.
nice to meet you, Emily. How are you?
You. Well, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Awesome.
We're just waiting for Matt.
Okay.
So in the meantime, poor Matt loses out because I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. But what I'll do is I'll introduce myself first, and then maybe he'll catch up.
Okay.
So I'm
Sounds good.
Judy Scotland, and I am your mentor and coach. I have been in the business since 1983, sometimes full-time, sometimes part-time. So I understand what it's like to be a dual career agent as well as a full-time agent. I also spent some time in Florida, about 6 years, where I was a closing agent. So I basically worked for a title company doing closings because they're not an attorney state there. So I was pretty well rounded because I got the whole other side of the process. And there's pretty much not anything you can ask me that I can't give you advice or information on or tell you where to go to find it. So hopefully you'll enjoy being in the program and you'll find that you're learning what you need to learn. And, you know, the only thing I can't do is make you drink. So I can lead you to water, but I can't make you drink.
I instantly went to like, wait, do I need to go get some wine? Oh, that's not what you meant.
I'm
got the
pretty
wrong
easy
way.
going about that too. So that being said, how about Caitlin, if you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. So my name's Caitlin. I have been in the real estate industry since, I don't know, 2008, I believe. No, 2012. After I graduated college, I started doing property rentals. I was a leasing agent. I moved my way up with that company, and then I transitioned over to the development side of things. So I've always worked in large scale multifamily developments throughout the Massachusetts area. I was recently, I guess in March, when all of this fun COVID stuff started happening, I lost my job with the national company that I was working with, and kind of took that as a time to focus on this and see if I could get my license and make a go of it. Then I was offered a full-time position doing property management while I was still studying for my exam. So I'm currently doing that full-time, and I'm going to try to do this part-time with the end goal being that this will be my full-time career.
So it'll be a transition for you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
lots of agents do that. So where do you live now?
I live in Leominster, and
Okay.
I actually found the Keller Williams office. My husband and I bought a house here in Leominster a year ago with Josh Mello, who works
Oh,
there.
good.
Yeah, we had a great experience, and him and Mark have been wonderful with the onboarding process. So it's been a really easy transition getting into all this.
That's great. Josh went through the mentoring program as well.
Yep.
And I hope that you'll enjoy it. It's gotten a little bit strange because we're doing everything this way now instead of in person.
Sure.
But still, you'll be able to get a lot out of the program, I think.
Great.
So-
I'm looking forward to it.
So where is the property that you manage?
It's located in Needham,
In
Massachusetts.
Needham. Oh, so that's a trip for you. Do you have to go
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, I typically go in Monday to Friday.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
a little strange right now with all the new regulations and everything. Our office is technically closed, but we still, I still feel it's important to be on site for the residents, and we're still looking to lease, so we're
Yeah.
there every day.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to lease property if no one's there to show it.
Exactly. Right.
So how many hours a week do you plan on giving your new career?
I was hoping at least 10 hours a week
Okay,
between weeknights and weekends.
that's good. I mean, so do you have goals set up yet?
No.
Okay. So I would like you to think about, and this goes for everybody, think about what your goals are for your first year. Now,
Okay.
I'm here to help you reach your goals. I'm not here to tell you what they need to be. So I will differ in the ways that a lot of coaches work. Most coaches want you to be at, you know, full head of, full steam ahead. And they want you to have great big aspirations and shoot for the stars and all of that. And that's awesome if that's what you want to do. And if that's not what you want to do, then let's figure out what you want to do and how you're going to get there. So
Okay.
if you haven't thought about that, give it some thought and then check back in with me and let's talk about it.
Sure.
Okay. Emily, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So I actually was a teacher for almost 20 years until about 4 years ago, and I actually started working for a friend's company. It was sales. The job was enrollment director, and I was like, that sounds so great. And my husband's like, it's sales. I was like, no, I'm not a salesperson. So I wish I'd known that, 20 years ago, and I might be retired by now. But I did do tech sales, SaaS services as software for the past 4 years. I did a lot of retail, so I worked with a lot of the top retailers, which was really fun. But I also got laid off due to COVID twice, once in March and then once again in August. So I finally said, okay, the world is telling me it's time to give real estate a go. You're going to be proud of me, Judy. Guess what I did today?
What'd you do?
I pulled the neighborhood. My neighborhood's small, right? And there's a house that sold behind us for like 30,000 over asking. So I did that little abutters,
Yeah,
and I loaded like 100 contacts into my database.
awesome.
So I'm going to handwrite to the people who are closest to me because they're my neighbors. But then I think I'm going to do something a little more, bulk marketing for the other areas. And I reached out to Betsy Kehoe. Do you know her?
Kehoe? Yep, very
Kehoe?
well.
And I was like, oh, hey, can I use some of your listings? And we'll see what she says. But I don't know her at all, but I figured she was a good resource. She seems to have a lot of folks.
She's a good resource, and if she's in your area,
Yeah.
ask her if you can do open houses for her.
Okay, that's what I'll do. And I was going to do 2 for Kelly, and she got an offer on that house in Fitchburg last night. So
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing that's happened today is I got offered a job.
Oh,
I know. So I worked for Oracle, and they have software integration companies that help their big retailers implement their integration. And this company's name is OLR. I had interviewed with them a couple of weeks ago, and I never heard from them. And the woman called me and said she had COVID and like almost died.
oh my God.
I know. And she's like on the phone, like, but we just want to let you know we love you and want to give you the job. So I'm waiting to see the offer and the details on that, but I fully intend to do both. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, depending on your time, you certainly can do 2 things.
yeah, I really don't want to go back into tech sales. And this is going to be an inside sales role. So I'll be supporting like 2 sales guys. So I'll just be home like prospecting for them and setting up meetings for them. And that stuff I can do in my sleep. So I'm not worried about the juggle.
So if that's your forte, that's going to be very good for you in real estate because that's what most agents won't do is lead generate.
Oh, I know. And I've told Mark, like, I've told him a million times, and like, I will call anyone. Don't ask me how many people I may be upset today, but mostly family, which is interesting. A couple cousins were like, why are you calling me? I don't, why are you? I was like, well, because it's my job, first of all. And I thought you may know some folks that might be, like, no. And I'm like, you know what? I support your stupid, Facebook bag parties. And, like, how many things do we support of other people's? But as soon as you come around, they're like, no, how dare you? And I'm like, listen, you're selling COVID masks for $15 on Facebook, and I supported that. So I don't want to hear your noise. I'm done. You guys are the only people I talk to all day. Sorry. I'm done.
That's great.
You gotta have thick skin. Where did you tell me you live? Was it Bolton?
Dunstable.
Oh, Dunstable, that's right.
Yeah.
'Cause you didn't
Mark
think
and I
I'd know
met
where it was.
at a basketball game.
What?
Mark Kavanaugh and I met at our son's basketball game. That's
Oh,
how-
yes, you did tell me that.
So
Yeah.
if you can blame him for me.
No, I'm happy to have you.
Good, happy to be
Anything
here.
else you want to tell us about yourself?
No, I have 2 kids, 3 dogs, a husband. My brother lives with me. So my sanity is like always kind of like coming and going. But
That's
where I
awesome.
am is a separate barn on our property that we renovated. So I hide here a lot. So if anyone needs a place to hide, I've got one for you.
Awesome. Well, good for you. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hi. Sorry I'm late. I kind of.
That's okay. You missed the introductions, but we'll make you introduce yourself now.
Perfect. Okay. Caitlin and I kind of met earlier in our first like tech orientation, so we kind of got a chance to speak a little bit.
Good.
I'm Matt Howard. I just got my real estate license about 3 weeks ago. I'm a full-time massage therapist currently. Plan on keeping that job for the time being until whenever life transitions me out of it.
Mhm.
I really enjoy doing that. And I think that's kind of what brought me into real estate is I'm big into helping people. And that's where my, I don't want to say I had a bad experience when we bought our house because I had a great realtor. She's family with my better half. I just feel like we weren't being helped enough. And real estate's just something I've always was interested in. I came from trade high school. I was an electrical trade, so I used to build houses. I worked in houses, stuff like that. So I think it was just like a culmination of like just life coming to this point. It was like this is where I wanted to be and where I feel like I need to be. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how far of a story you guys are hoping for. Or...
So where do you live now, Matt?
I live in Ashby. Bought a house in Ashby last July.
Yep.
So I've been here for a little bit over a year.
Yep, that's great. He bought a house in Ashby and waited a long time to get in there, right, Matt?
Yeah. So we closed on March, end of March of 2019. We didn't move in until our offer got accepted on March, end of March 2019, and we didn't officially close until July 19th.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that was a long process.
And that was, again, not any fault of our real estate agent, or it was just life circumstances. My girlfriend and I were both living at our separate homes, at our family homes. And the people whose home we bought, they, were trying to buy a new home, and their first home fell through. And then they were back like searching the market. And we happened to be in a position that we really like the house that we are now living in. And we're in a position to wait while they figured out what was best for them. So it worked out. I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I've looked at houses on the market for the last 3 years at this point, I think, like on a daily basis. And I love our house. It's a medium-sized cape, 3 beds, 2 baths. This is my finished basement behind me. If you can't tell, like it's a movie theater
Nice.
style theme. So like we have like movie posters hanging in the background. I'm sitting at the bar that I refinished in quarantine. So like, yeah, finished basement, active bar, come on down, we'll serve you a drink.
Is that
Let's
like
see,
a
we
thing,
have a
like-
barn loft and we have a finished basement now. We got places to go.
Yeah, yeah.
Matt, come help my husband finish his quarantine bar. Literally in my garage, and he keeps trying to do this like resin pour in between two pieces of maple, and I'm like, oh, we're never gonna have a bar.
Yeah, ours is gorgeous. Warren's dad's a builder, so he like obviously like led the project, and I'm just like his like right-hand man. But yeah, we have he did Oak Hill Country Club a few years ago. They did a big expansion there.
Yes,
So we
I
had a
saw
lot of
that. It was
leftover.
beautiful.
Yeah, so he did that, and I helped him with that project, and we had a lot of leftover wood. So our bar is pretty much the same as Oak Hill's bar.
Cool.
Wow, that's cool.
Really neat.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Matt, you bring up a good point. And this is what I want to tell you guys, because most new agents find it easier to find buyers to work with than they do to find listings. And when you're working with buyers, we'll go over at some point, or you'll take Mark's contract class, the offer. And when you're trying to get your offer accepted in this busy, crazy market, what I want to tell you is it's not always just about the price. Sometimes it's about the terms. Because, Matt, you were willing to wait, you got the prize at the end. So it's always important to call the listing agent and find out, hey, what's important to you sellers? How can we make this a win-win situation for everyone? What can we do to make your sellers happy? And when agents call me like that, I know two things. Either they've been trained really well, or they've got a lot of time in the business and they understand that you have to get into the psyche of the buyers and sellers to figure out how to make your offer stand out amongst the rest of them, because there'll be multiple offer situations more often than not in this market. And sometimes your buyers can't go up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over the asking price, but maybe it's not necessarily just about the money. Maybe it's about, well, they haven't found a home yet, so they'd like time to go and find a home. Or maybe it's that they're trying to relocate and, you know, the husband or the wife is already relocated and they're just trying to get with their family back together. And so they want a short closing. There are several things that you can find out by making that phone call. And don't be afraid to do it. And I gotta tell you, when an agent calls me up and says something like that to me, it makes me want to work with them. So that being said, let's move on. So do you guys can you all see the KW new agent orientation in front of you? Awesome. And do you all have copies of that?
Mhm.
Yep. Okay, awesome. And yours are filled out for you, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then let's start. So you'll hear our office referred to as KWNC, but it's Keller Williams North Central. So when I write it out, I write it Keller Williams Realty North Central. And the short for that is KWNC. Our main office is at 670 Mechanic Street. How many of you have been there? Okay, good. So when things are normal, that's quite a hub of activity there. And it's a great place to be. And I hope that you all got a tour around it. There are offices around the outside of the building, and in the middle is an energy space and cubicles. And right outside of my office is 2 cubicles that are assigned to me for the mentoring program. So that you're in the mentoring program means that you can sit in those cubicles and work anytime you want to on a first come, first served basis. Otherwise, there's 3 computers also at the energy space where the kitchen is. Or you can bring your laptop and either sit in one of my cubicles or sit in the energy space and work. That being said, right now, there's not a lot of that happening because of COVID. Normally, our office is open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5:30. And if it's not open, You have 24/7 access, and we'll talk about that as we go along. We also have satellite offices, one in Bolton and one in Westminster, and they're set up as far as the internet access and the copy machine and the scanner and all of that, the same exact way in every office. And you're welcome to go to any one of our offices anytime and grab a seat and do some work or make some copies or bring your clients there for a meeting. So wherever you happen to be, whichever office is closest, that's your office. But I think, are you all located, your main office, your home office is going to be the Leominster office?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm sure that Mark spent a lot of time talking to you about our company and the vision of Keller Williams and all of that. So I'm not going to talk too much about that, except to say a couple of things. We do want you to build careers and businesses worth having and that are very that make you feel great about having a part-time business or a full-time business, whichever you choose. We want to be your support system. And our vision is to make you as successful as you want to be. And we'll do everything to help you with that. And we also, everyone shares the same values in our office. In other words, we're all about a win-win situation. If you win, I win. Everybody wins. And so it's never about bullying anybody to get a deal done or anything like that. We always work with integrity. The customer comes first. We are committed and we will give our commitment to our clients. We will first seek to understand when we're communicating, and creativity, ideas before results. Volunteer your time. Join a committee. We have committees in the office. See what you can do to give back. And by giving back, I have to tell you that I wasn't always the mentor. I've only been the mentor and coach for like just over 4 years. And I have gotten way more back from you guys than I've given you. And so I have to say that the more I give you, the more I get back. And it's almost not fair all the time because I've learned so much by being in this position. And so that's how life should be. And I feel like our company operates that way too. And you won't find very many people working at our company that aren't willing to help you with whatever you need. So keep that in mind. Our information. When you come into the office and you want to log on with your laptops or whatever, the wireless address is KWNCMA, and the password is "It's a great day at KW." Now, that is the same at all 3 offices. Also, here are our broker license numbers, so the company's broker numbers, and our tax ID, which you'll need. Although our commission statement does have our tax ID on it when you're sending out your commission statement. And it also has our company identification number usually. And so we have a W-9 form. It's right in the intranet. You can find all those documents. But here's all the numbers in case you forget them or you need them for anything. There's a company website. As you can see, it's kwnorthcentralmass.com. And we have a couple of Facebook sites that you'll be invited to. And since you're all in the mentoring program, you'll all be invited to join that Facebook page. I highly recommend that you do, because we have lots of times agents will say, I need help for an open house. Does anybody want to help me? We have files in there. I have some of the files that I have in there are sample offers, what goes in an offer package, the closing process. There's a whole bunch of things in the files section that you may want to look at as well. Meet your team. have any of you gotten to meet Rochelle? No. Right now she's in Utah. So Rochelle is our operating principal, and she lives in Utah in the winter, and she lives in Vermont in the summer, but she does in the summer, she tries to come down once or twice a week and spend the day in the office. So you may get to meet her. And even if you don't, if you should ever feel the need to have a chat with the operating principal, she's fully available for your calls, to take your calls or your emails or whatever. So don't be afraid to call her, and don't be intimidated that she's in charge, because she's not intimidating at all. She's a great person. I don't have to sing Mark's praises because I know you all met Mark and he's just awesome. Always there to help us and lend a hand and give us what we need. So anytime you need him, reach out and he will help you. Don't send him an email though, as he very rarely reads his emails all the way through. He gets so many a day that it takes him weeks to get to you. So if you need him, text him or call him or drop into the office and he's happy to help you. Linda Anderson, have you guys all met Linda? Okay, no, Caitlin. Linda's
Emailed with her, but haven't met her.
okay, so Linda's our market center administrator, and she pays us. She gives us our checks.
Okay.
So she's a very important part of the office. She runs the front desk. She's in charge of the accounting, and she's got a big job, but she's happy to talk to all of us whenever we need her. And have you guys had your tech orientation with Anthony?
Mhm.
Yes. Don't you love Anthony? Yeah, he's fabulous and he knows his stuff. So one of the things you'll learn about KW is we have about 4 conferences, major conferences a year. And all of the leadership, from me to Anthony to Linda to Mark to Rochelle, we all try to go to those conferences whenever they happen. They're online now. They're all virtual at this point because of COVID, but Anthony has really embraced the technology stuff. And since it's all new, we really need someone who can lead us in that area. And he does a fabulous job. Did you feel that way about him when you worked with him? Yeah.
Yep.
So Anthony has right now on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I think it's 3:00, he has just a technology class that you can go to and ask questions and talk about things that you need. So don't be afraid to pop in on those Zoom meetings. And if you need a one-on-one with him, all you have to do is send him a text or an email, and he's happy to do that too. He's just a great guy. Then you have me. I'm your productivity coach and mentor. And Sharon is my assistant and also my sister. So she's happy to help too, although she's been remote now since COVID hit. So it may be a while before you get to meet her. Melanie is the assistant MCA. Have you guys had a chance to meet Melanie? Okay, so she helps Linda, and she also helps out at the front desk. So she's also now doing transaction coordinating, which means if you are really, really not comfortable or just don't have the time or whatever to take care of your transaction paperwork from the time you receive an offer on right to the closing, you can hire her for $200 a transaction to take care of that for you. I don't recommend you do that before you have your first 5 closings and you're in the while you're in the mentoring program. And I'll tell you why. Because you always want to be able to do it yourself and learn how to do it. And then you can pass it off to somebody else once you know it. But there are agents that just can't figure it out, or they just don't have time. And so I usually will, on a case-by-case basis, if they say they want to have transaction management taken care of for them, I'll work up with them on that. And
Has she been at KW for a while?
Yes.
Her name looks so familiar.
Yes, she's been
Hmm.
there, I think, 7 years now,
Okay.
maybe 8.
I feel like I know her from somewhere.
So we have to update our book because Olivia left to have a baby, and we now
Oh,
have Kristen. So Kristen is at our front desk, and she should be able to guide you and lead you to wherever you need to be. For the main part, though, if you have a question, text me, email me, call me, set up an appointment with me. If it's something that you need me to show you how to do in Command or DocuSign or whatever, um, I won't try to take Anthony's place with technology, but I can pretty much walk you through anything as far as Command and DocuSign go in getting your transactions up and compliant. The main thing that we want to make sure we do is we have compliant transactions so that not only can we get paid, but we can also not get sued or fined by um, the Massachusetts Association of Realtors or anybody else, the Board of Licensure that will come out and audit us. So we need to make sure that we're always compliant. And I can help you with that. I can do a Zoom meeting and walk you through stuff. But you have to ask. If you guys don't ask or don't schedule appointments, then you're going to feel like you're on an island, and I don't want that. But I don't chase you to give you help, but I'm always here when you need me. So that being said, let's move on a little bit. Also, our company is run by an ALC, Associate Leadership Council, and it's sort of like a board of directors. And you have to be in the top 20% of the market center in order to qualify to be even asked to be on the ALC. And so this year for 2020, our members are Kendra Dickinson, Kathleen Gano, Josh Mello, Mary O'Hagan, and me. Next year it'll be different, or maybe some of us will still be there. We're always available to help, not just because I'm the mentor or coach, but also because I'm an ALC member. The ALC member is kind of like your role models. And so if you get a chance to shadow one of them, or you have a chance to have a conversation with one of them, do that. And what I always ask my new agents to do is please get on the phone. You don't have to call me because we've had a long time together, or we will have after this day. But get on the phone and give each one of them a call and say, hey, I'm a new agent and I just joined Keller Williams, and Judy told me to give you a call and introduce myself and ask you a question. And some of the questions that I might suggest you ask them is, tell me what you would do if you were a new agent. Give me some advice. Is there one thing that I can do to be successful? Something like that. But do introduce yourself to them because they want to help you. And office protocol. Office protocol, I'll just tell you a little bit about that. I'm not going to read all of this stuff for you. But what I will tell you is, I don't know how much you know about real estate, but at some other companies, you might be able to get desk time. Have you ever heard of desk time, any of you? Yeah. Okay. So desk time, what that is there's a schedule, a block, a time block, and you can sign up to go and sit there and wait for the phone to ring and see if you get any business. Now, I worked for another company and they had desk time, and we were actually highly encouraged to take 2 times a week. And I would go in there and sit there, and probably in the 9 years that I worked there, I maybe got 5 leads from desk time. We don't want you sitting waiting for the phone to ring. We want you to take Ignite, take Bold, learn how to make your own business, learn how to make your own leads, and don't waste your time sitting behind a desk playing tic-tac-toe and waiting for the phone to ring. Because mostly what's going to happen is you'd sit there and they would be like, is so-and-so there? Can I speak with this agent, that agent? and you're just not going to get what you're looking for from desk time. So we don't do desk time. In fact, we don't believe in customers getting assigned to the person that's in the office. What we believe is that if you have a listing, then any leads that come into the office should be sent to the person whose listing it is. So we call it your leads, your listings. I mean, your listings, your leads. Sorry, I'm backwards. Your listings, your leads. So what does that mean? That means I don't have to sit there and wait for the phone to ring. I'm going to get all the leads that call in the office on my phone, on my listings. So that's a real big deal because that doesn't happen at very many companies. The other thing is just do unto others and recruit people to come to work here. We love to have more people working here. We build off of each other's successes, and we have a great profit share system. And if you get a chance to take a profit share class, do that because you'll be pleasantly surprised. We want to be profitable, so we ask you when you're in the office and using the supplies and all of that are included in your $40 monthly fee, that you just be as frugal as you would at home. So now we get to the good part, important information. Do you all have this part filled out?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So our keyless entry code is different for each one of us. What does the keyless entry code mean? At the Leominster office, you can get in there anytime you want to, just by hitting your keyless entry code and the star button, and it'll unlock the door for you. So you could come to work at 2 o'clock in the morning if you so desired. And what will happen is when you punch in your code and the star button, the door will unlock. And then when you close it, the door will lock behind you. So it's a pretty secure system. Just remember though, if you're meeting clients there, let them know they have to text you or call you when they get there because the door is locked. There's no doorbell. And we just want to make sure that you know they're there. And we don't want anybody sneaking up on you when you're in there late at night or early in the morning. So that's why we've done it that way. In Bolton, there's an entry code on the knob and it's 4590. And in Westminster, there's a lockbox to the left side of the door. And the lockbox code is 2468. I recommend that you put all those codes in your phone somewhere so that you don't get to Westminster and say, I wanted to go in and make copies, but I forgot my code. Because you won't carry this book around with you. Mailboxes. You're all Leominster agents, so you'll have, when you walk in and you see the front desk, if you walked down the hall to the right of the front desk, there's a little nook, and there are lateral files hanging there. Did anybody show you those? Okay, in that area, there are some lateral file cabinets, and in there are hanging folders where your mail will go. What I will tell you about the mail is, if any mail comes in for you that looks like there could be a check in there, the front desk will open it. Because we want to make sure that if deposit checks are coming in for you, that we get them deposited right away. So what they'll do is they'll open the check, open the mail, take the check out and send you an email that lets you know that you received a deposit check on your listing or some other form of whatever it is for. If you don't want them to open your mail, make sure you tell them. But nobody's looking at our stuff. They just really are trying to be efficient. All right, so your phone number. You see a phone number in front of you? Okay. I made the mistake of having all my business cards and signs and everything printed up with that phone number on it. And then I found out a couple of things. First of all, it only gets forwarded to your cell phone. And so what people would end up doing is they'd see my number on my sign or on my business card and they'd call it. And if it went to voicemail, they'd hang up and they'd call my cell phone. So they were getting the same voicemail. It was going to the same place. And so I eliminated that by just keeping my cell phone on my business cards and my signs. And also people would say, I texted you and you never answered me. What number did you text? Well, this 860 number doesn't text. No one can text that. And so people don't realize that in today's world. They think they can text any number for some reason. And then they get mad at you. And luckily, I don't think I ever lost a client because of it, but I stopped using it a long time ago. That being said, you have to have that number though, because on the weekends, if somebody calls in the office and they're looking for you and the voice prompt will say, dial the first name of the person you're looking for or whatever it says. And when they do that, it'll say, do you want Emily Luongo? And they push a button and then it goes to your voicemail. That can only happen because we have those 860 numbers. So it does have a purpose, but I wouldn't publish it at all. Faxes, you have a fax number and that goes to your own personal fax. And what will happen is when you get a fax, you'll also get an email. So if you haven't forwarded your KW email to your email account, I find that I like them all going into the same place. You can keep them separate if you want to, as long as you check them often. But I like all my emails just go into the same place. So I forwarded my KW email into my Gmail account and everything comes in all at once. Your fax, if you get a fax, you'll get an email and you'll click on the button and it'll take you to a place and you'll have to use this username and password in order to get in there and read your faxes. You don't need to have anybody put a cover letter. It's only going to you. Printer and copier. So the copy and printer code is the same at every office. So whatever your code is, it's probably the same number as your front door code. And so hopefully that helps you remember it. But again, I probably would still make a place in my phone for all my codes. So the only thing that you really need your code for is if you're making copies on our copy machine. If you're scanning or faxing or anything like that, you won't need it. But if you're going to print stuff, then it'll automatically make a charge to you. So we pay 3 cents per black and white copy, and I think it's 9 cents for color copies. And that's how they charge you, by putting your code in there. The thing I want to warn you about is if you use the company's computers, either at the in the energy space or in the mentoring labs, hubbies, I should say, make sure that you have to put in your job description, which is your code. And after you do that and you print your stuff, go back into the printer settings and erase that, because otherwise you're going to be paying for everybody's copies. So you don't want to do that. Again, our Wi-Fi information, which I already gave you. And you said you all have your technology orientation. So that's really great. Have you all gotten your email addresses? Okay, and so what I try to do is in the beginning, I try to send you email to both places, your KW and your regular email that you gave us. But if you're all three up and running, I will probably utilize your KW email address. So have you had any trouble logging in, or is everything working okay?
Yep.
And are you checking?
I had a little bit of trouble with mine when I logged in my KW. I kept getting like some, like I got like a 24-hour notice earlier today when I was logging in. It was like stuff's being updated or something like that. So
Was that your email or was that my KW?
on my KW.
Okay, so your email, you shouldn't have that problem. And I don't know what, I didn't have any trouble getting in today, but if you continue to have trouble, either call its support number or call Anthony and find out what's happening,
Okay,
okay? But your email address, mostly everything that you're gonna need is gonna go there. Any bills that you're gonna get from MLS, all of that stuff is gonna go to your KW email probably. And so you wanna make sure you check it on a regular basis. My KW, if you are having trouble logging in, don't wait too long. Get help. And there are support numbers, and there are people in the office that can, if you can't find the support numbers, call the front desk and ask them, or call Anthony and they can help you. Command, it tells you how to log into Command. Have you all logged in there?
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay, great. I recommend that you do go into both of those places, My KW and Command, and check out on the toolbars, check out all the tabs and see what's in there. And when you go into My KW, there's a place that says new agents, I think, something like that. And when you click on that, you can get in there and it tells you how to do all kinds of stuff. That's very helpful for new agents. So I would recommend you spend some time in there. And then when you're ready to do your first deal, I'll help you with DocuSign and Command. But in the meantime, I highly recommend you take some of the, go into KW Connect, which is the university, the international university. And if you can go in there and start logging on to, they've got some videos and whatnot, and I want to give you a couple of names to look at that'll teach you how to do stuff in Command. Let me just see if I have them offhand real quick. Because I can never remember them. But hang on one sec. No, I'll have to get them to you. I'll look one more place. I always write everything down, but then I don't remember where I put it. No, I'll have to get those to you, okay? In any case, start researching how to use DocuSign and how to use Command. And we'll also be sending you some instructions, and watch the calendar. We have a monthly calendar that gives you things to, and also a daily calendar that'll come to your KW email that'll tell you what's on the agenda for training every day. So if you can fit in 2 things a week, that's awesome. And if you can plan to take the next Ignite class, which is in January, it's a regional class, that would be great too. And if you sign up for it, even if you can't be there for the live class, they're recording them. So try to be on those. And that gives you a great big foundation. MLS PIN, have you guys all logged on there?
yes.
Okay. Caitlin?
I think I only logged on to pay my invoice.
Okay,
Yeah.
so log in there and try to practice some things, but there's always webinars and there's help buttons and there's little videos you can go watch to learn how to do stuff. And
Okay.
if you need to do something and you're not sure how, get on my schedule, because if you can't find it within the instructions there or the help menus there, I can usually walk you through stuff pretty easily.
Okay.
Okay. The Facebook, we already talked about, join the KWN and front desk KWNC, Keller Williams Realty North Central, and then those of you that are in the mentoring program, which you all are, there's KW agents of KWNC, which is not my program, and then KWNC coaching and mentoring. So go in, and if you haven't been invited to all those places, go in and ask to join or like them, whichever the case may be. You all joined the Board of Realtors? Okay, all the addresses for and contact information for the different boards in the area are here. I'm going to assume if you didn't make a special request that you were put into North Central Mass Association of Realtors, which we lovingly call NICMAR. If you have any MLS issues, you can call right to MLS PIN, and if you log in to MLS PIN, all of their contact information is there. If you have any board issues or something you need to talk to the board about, you'll need to set up orientation within your first 90 days. So that would be a good reason to go and check in with them. It's virtual now because of COVID. So you'll be, however you feel about in-person classes versus virtual, it'll be a virtual class for now. But you have to do that orientation within 90 days. And I'm not so sure they're great at letting you know that, hey.
They did. I mean, I at least got an email from Katie, I think is the woman that I've been dealing with. And she,
is it Kathy?
Katie, she goes by Katie, Katey.
Okay.
She called me because they didn't have my email. I guess I didn't write it clear enough for them. So she called me, but then I got an invitation. It was like, yeah, I think the November 12th, I think is their scheduled orientation.
Okay.
Which might be a Thursday morning from like 9 to 12.
Yep.
Something like that. Which I can't make because I work a day job. So I think she gave me another date that I'm trying to look at for that ethics portion or whatever is like their big part that they want you to be to take.
Yep. And here's the truth of the matter. We love dual career, but they don't necessarily rearrange the classes to accommodate you guys that are working in other jobs during the day. So at some point you may have to take a half a day off and just go and take the class, but they'll give you plenty of notice. There's usually one of those orientations every month. So if you can't do it this month, you could probably do it next month. Or
she gave me another date. I'm flexible because I only work, like I'm always off on Mondays and Wednesdays during the day, and Tuesdays I work at night. So like I'm flexible. I just needed a different date.
And the other thing is, because they're virtual now, it makes it easier to attend too, because it's not a matter of I have to drive there, sit there till 12 and then drive back to work. So it seems to be a little bit easier now that it's virtual.
Do they just automatically reach out to you? I haven't heard from anyone, so I just want to make sure I
got a email, so when I got the stream of emails, obviously a lot for the orientations that we're doing here, pretty much all around the same time. They go by NICMAR, NCMAR. They reached out to me and said, hey, like she called me first and was like, hey, I don't have the right email for you, and we're just trying to send over your like membership.
That's good to hear.
And that was shortly after I think I paid them first. I think I got an invoice from them and then paid them, and then maybe like 2 or 3 days later they reached out to be like, hey, here's your membership information, here's orientation coming up in November that you kind of have to attend. And I emailed her back and was like, hey, I can't make that day. Is there another day that's possible? So seems super easy to deal with at this point. She's been super responsive. So if you don't hear from her, I would just give her a call. Like I said, her name's Katie, Katey.
Yeah, that's good to hear. And I hope that they're consistent about it. So I'd love to hear from the other two of you that you actually do hear from them. But so it's kind of been hit or miss. Like some people say, like Matt, and then other people have to go and find them to get started. but their contact numbers are here, so give them a call and make sure you get yourself into that. Once you've joined a board of realtors, which you all have now, that automatically enrolls you in the Massachusetts Association of Realtors, or MAR, and the National Association of Realtors. Your dues covers all those different associations. And there are lots of benefits by being a member of those things. For one that I can think of is, I believe it's the National Association of Realtors, gives you a $500 coupon if you're buying a Jeep. So you can bring it with you to the Jeep dealership, and after you make your best deal, you hand them the coupon. So, you know, I mean, you get your money back sometimes in different coupons and whatnot that they have. So do look at their websites and go in and check them out. Also, they have a lot of online education. So if you're trying to get your continuing education hours in, it's a good place to check out. Showing protocol and realtor etiquette. I like to talk about these things with our new agents just because you guys want to know, for one thing. So this list here, I will go over quickly with you. Always check the showing instructions on the MLS listing. So when you go into MLS and you search for properties and you pull up a property that your client wants to see, scroll down until you see the showing instructions and follow those instructions, because every agent has different protocol, and some of us have showing time that we use to set up our appointments for us. And for each listing, there are different instructions. Like, for example, some people may not allow you appointments on the same day. You might have to give them 24 or 12 hours notice, or the house might be empty and you can go right away and just use the lockbox. Whatever it is, you want to make sure you check that. When you leave a house, if they left all the lights on for you, I always, and God forbid the candles on and stuff like that, I always blow out all the candles. And I always shut off all the lights but one, just in case they're coming home after dark. Usually I'll leave the kitchen sink light on. And I always lock the door unless they tell me not to. And make sure you put the key back in the lockbox. Never ever give customers the lockbox code, and never allow them to go to a property without you. Always give feedback to the listing agent, even if they don't ask for it. Send them a quick email and say, hey, thanks for letting us look at your property. My client liked it, but they felt like it was too small for them, or it didn't have enough bedrooms, or whatever the case may be. But try to remember that they're trying to figure out if their properties are priced right, why they're not selling, or some other thing that's not a big thing in the market right now. But that feedback is as much for the agent to help them with their clients, to convince them of whatever they're trying to convince them. So give them honest feedback, but be kind, because the clients will see that. And they, especially if you use showing time, the clients will see your name and they'll be like, oh, well, that Judy Scotland insulted my house really bad, and don't ever use her, that type of thing. So never ever give bad feedback, but just be aware that the clients and the agents are trying to figure out what to do with that property if it's not selling. Always call to let an agent know that you've sent them an offer. So we already talked a little bit about that, as far as checking in with the listing agent, asking them, you know, what can I do to make this a great transaction for your seller? And again, if you send them over an offer and you don't call to let them know where it's going, like I sent you an offer to your email address, what if you got one letter off? What if it doesn't go there? What if it went in their spam and they don't check it? You might have lost that transaction for your client just because the listing agent didn't know the offer was there. So be sure you always call the agent or text them or whatever you have to do. I always like to call. I think there's something to be said for building that bond with our coworkers, the people that we're doing business with. And if they like us, I've had agents over the years say to me hundreds of times, Judy, the only thing different between your offer and the one we didn't accept was that you were the agent. And I know you get these deals closed. And so, and you're easy to work with. So we picked your offer. Get that reputation. You've got a fresh start. You have nothing bad that anybody knows about you. So make sure you always have positive relations with the people that you work with. Some people think that the agents they're co-broking with are their competition, and so they want to beat them. That's not really how we should be looking at it. We should be looking at it as though we want to work with you today and we want to work with you next week too. So we want you to like us and we want to like you. So we're going to do more than our share of the work, and we're going to be pleasant to deal with, and we're going to be responsive. The worst complaint that I hear about agents is that they don't return phone calls, they're not responsive, and they just don't get back to people. Don't be that agent. Your goals, after you've had a chance, we already talked about this, to sit down and think about what you want to have for your goals. Make an appointment, we'll sit together and we'll chat more about it. Marketing. Our preferred vendors are listed here. The only thing I really want you to spend money on right now, and Anthony should guide you about GoDaddy and having a domain name. So I'm not even going to guide you there right this second. But you don't need signs right now. Even if you get a listing today, we have a little store at the office and we sell generic signs, and I want to say they're like $40. I'd rather spend $40 on a generic sign, and I would, if I knew I was getting a listing and I didn't have my own signs, what I would do is I would go to the office, buy a generic sign, and then I would order from J&S Business Supply. As you can see, it's right here where your business cards are, J&S Business Products. They can make you up 6-inch by 24-inch sign riders that will fit in the top of the frame of the generic. And it should just say, call Emily Luongo and the telephone number. And that's all you need at this point. Until you start getting 5 or 6 listings, you probably don't need your own signs. The generic ones will work just fine. I would love to see you get name badges, and there's some places listed there. And I would love to see you get business cards. Make sure everything has Keller Williams Realty North Central on it. We have that logo for you. It's in the intranet. If you can't find it, I'll help you. But that's a Massachusetts law, that people have to be able to find your brokerage by whatever means you're advertising yourself in, whether it's your business cards or your signs or whatever it is. Since you're not going to buy for sale signs, that's already on our generic signs, so you don't have to worry about that. So I just want to talk a little bit about compliance. Here's a compliance checklist for you, and it doesn't mean anything to you right now. But what I want to tell you is at a point in time, you're going to get a customer. There's one document that you have to be aware of, and that is the Massachusetts Mandatory Licensee Consumer Relationship Disclosure Form. And it's MAR number 705. And you'll find it in DocuSign. And whenever you meet with someone at your first face-to-face meeting with them to discuss particular real estate, you have to present that to them. And I'm sure you learned about that in your licensing classes. If they audit your file and you haven't got it, or if they send out a tester and you don't present that, you can be fined. The only other form that I would say is as important as that is the lead paint documentation, the notification. If you do not fill out the lead paint notification properly with your clients when they make an offer, or if you're doing a listing, that they can charge you $11,000 per error on that form. And so if you don't have that form at all of those blanks that are supposed to be signed, filled in, checked off, that's $11,000 for each of those mistakes. Or
Yeah,
not.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So you don't want to do that. But this is old and it went with dot loop, and that's why it's called the perfect loop. We are now using DocuSign instead of dot loop for our electronic signatures in our forms. But it's the same premise. All the same documents are required for each type of deal. So there's two types of deal. There's a listing deal and there's a buyer client deal. In the listing documents, it gives you everything you might need, and it tells you whether the document is a mandatory or an optional document. Same thing with your buyer client documents. There's the list of what you're going to need to have your clients sign when you're working with a buyer. And then you'll go into the purchase documents and it'll tell you all of the documents you need for the purchase folder, and then your closing documents as well. So I would keep this, I keep one of these handy all the time. I'm going to be doing your compliance. And so I keep one of those next to me. Not so much anymore because the compliance, there's kind of a compliance area in Command that lists all the stuff again, but I do use this still. So just to make sure I'm not missing anything. So if I still need to use it, I'd probably recommend that you guys use it too. Your business card templates, there's a bunch of, you can order any Keller Williams business cards you want to from anywhere online. And if you want to use J&S Business Supply in Air, here's some that they've set up for us. And you can just go in and fill out your information here and send it over to them and get your cards. So that makes it real simple. I would recommend that you get a name badge as well. And that's it. Don't spend money on anything else. The coaching and mentoring program, I'm not going to go over this too big with you because you've already seen all these documents. This is your document that you had when you signed up, agreeing to be in the mentoring program and what are the requirements. And so read that over though and pay attention to what it wants you to do. Also about the coaching and mentoring program, I sent you a letter like this already. Did you guys all read it?
Mhm.
Okay, so do read it and do pay attention to it. And I'm going to tell you a couple things. I'm going to condense all this information. Always call me or text me and tell me that you're submitting an offer or you're listing a property and you want me to look at your documents before they're signed. Never ever have documents signed without having me look at them first. I'm here to protect you, but I can't protect you. I had an agent call me this weekend, actually text me. She texted me. So texting is probably the quickest way to get an answer, because even if I'm in a meeting or something, I can usually give you a quick answer or let you know that it's going to be a while before I get back to you because I'm in a meeting. So texting is good. You can do either though. You can text me, you can call me, you can email me. This agent texted me and she said, I want to put in an offer on this property, blah, 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 blah. It was like at 10 o'clock at night. At 9 o'clock, I shut my phone off. At 8 o'clock, I don't want to answer anything but an emergency. And there are no emergencies. But so she sent me this text and I got it the next morning and I sent her back a text and I said, well, you know, send all this stuff over and let me look at it. And she said, oops, I already sent it over to the other agent. We already got signatures. And I said, okay, well, let me look at it anyway. So I looked at it and I said, oh, well, I don't remember what her mistake was, but there was a pretty glaring mistake. And I was like, I can't help you now. It's too late. You've already submitted this. So let's kind of hope it doesn't get accepted. Because otherwise you're just going to have to live with it at that point. I can't help you if I don't know that you're doing something. So always keep me posted as to what's going on in your world. And get in the habit of sending me an email or a text on Monday morning and just let me know, hey, Judy, this is what I've done last week. This is what I've got going on, and this is what I need your help with. I'm always happy to hear from you guys. Also, show up if you can to Coaching Corner. Matt, I tried to record Coaching Corner yesterday and I failed.
Okay.
So you won't get to see that, but I did record this class that we're doing right now. So hopefully if you need to review it, you can. But Coaching Corner is great because you get to come in there and you talk to seasoned agents and you talk to other new agents, and everybody talks about what's going on with them. And we do a little bit of teaching in there. It's a good place to be. It's a good place to learn from. It's a good place to be to stay connected and not feel like you're out there on an island. So try to make Coaching Corner at 4:15 on Tuesdays if you can.
I went yesterday and it was fun.
It was?
Yeah.
Did
And
you
I had
get-
already started using what I learned. So
You did? Oh,
I had a
that's
great
great.
time. Yep.
And the other thing is too, if you want to learn about something in particular, if you send me a text or an email before class, I'll usually try to teach you that right on the class so that everybody's learning it too.
Yeah, Judy knows a lot of stuff. Lot of stuff.
Because
I
I'm
mean, I was like
wicked
mind
old.
blown yesterday. I was like, what?
Really? That's great.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm easily amused, but I was impressed.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. So if you can be there at 4:15 on Tuesdays, I've automatically added you to the invitation for the Zoom class. So if you don't get an invitation though, let me know because I could have made a mistake. I've made one or two in my life. Okay, let's see. Try to stay engaged. Make sure you keep, if you're having an issue with anything, call me. If you're just feeling like, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm feeling frustrated and I don't know where to go next, call me, text me, set up an appointment with me. I'm here for you. There's also a shadowing program, and if you read this shadowing agreement, it'll tell you all about that. And I've got a list of people who agreed to be shadowed. Once you sign this agreement, you could call any one of them and ask them if you can shadow them. And feel free to do that. The more people you learn from, the better off you are. So here's the nice thing about our business. We're all independent contractors. That means we all own our own businesses and we all work for ourselves, and we can do anything, any way that we choose to, as long as we're following the code of ethics and the Massachusetts laws. We can do whatever we want to. That being said, if you ask 10 agents how they do something, you're going to get 10 or 11 different answers. So learn from as many of us as you can, and decide what your style is going to be. I like the way Judy did this, but I like the way Kelly does that, and I like the way Betsy does this. So the more people that you can learn from, the quicker you'll be able to come up with your systems and your operations manuals, so to speak. So I will highly recommend that you follow these people around. Some of them, all of these people are top producing agents and they're all great at their jobs. So any one of them would be a great person to learn from. I have nothing else. I've got frequently asked questions that you can go and look at in this book too. Does anybody have any questions for me before we sign off? You guys all good? Did you learn anything today? Do you feel like it was a valid use of your time?
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
Okay, good. And if you have in the future or now, if you have any suggestions on how we can improve anything in our program, you can always come to me. I'm more than happy to hear your feedback. So don't be afraid to tell me that I missed something or that you wish I would have covered something that I didn't or anything like that. In the meantime, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here, and I'm going to help you do great things.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
All right. Have a good night.
Nice to meet
you.
you guys.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Bye,
See you later.
everyone.